welcome back to Wilson's Antiques and Curiosities. And for those of you who've been watching our videos or may have even visited the museum, thank you for that. You probably noticed that I have an affection for Winchester lever-action rifles and carbines. Today, we're going to introduce you to the Model 1866. That is the first lever-action firearm to bear the name Winchester. But before we do that, we want to give you a little background and history of how the Model 1866 came to be. In 1855, a man named Cortlandt Palmer, who had purchased the Jennings and Smith-Jennings patent rights, formed the Volcanic Repeating Arms Company. Oliver Winchester, who was a shirt manufacturer at the time, became involved with the company as a financier. Shortly after the company was formed, however, the lead engineers Horace Smith and Daniel Wesson left to form their own company, now known as Smith & Wesson. Well, this caused the Volcanic Repeating Arms Company to fall into financial failure with their newly patented firearm. Oliver Winchester, having a keen eye for opportunity, assembled some venture capital with some other stockholders and acquired the company. By 1857, Winchester had positioned himself as the principal stockholder and reorganized the company upon its relocation to New Haven, Connecticut, where it became the New Haven Arms Company. Initially, the company was plagued by sluggish returns, which was in part due to the design and poor performance of the volcanic cartridge, a hollow, conical ball filled with black powder and sealed by a cork primer. Although the Volcanic's repeater design far outpaced the rival technology, these cartridges were only made in smaller calibers and had significant issues with reliability and power and were little match for the competitors' larger calibers. Fortunately, Winchester had inherited a brilliant engineer by the name of Benjamin Tyler Henry, who was an invaluable asset. Henry sought to improve on the Volcanic repeating rifle by enlarging the frame and magazine to accommodate 17 of his newly redesigned all-brass cased 44 caliber rim-fired cartridges. This new cartridge put the new company on the map, and Henry's ingenuity was rewarded with a patent in his name on October 16, 1860, for what became the famous Henry rifle. You may be familiar with the 1991 film Dancing with Wolves, starring Kevin Costner as a post-Civil War lieutenant sent to build a relationship with the Lakota Native Americans. In that film, there's a scene showing a buffalo hunt, where he's depicted using a .44 Henry rifle to drop a charging buffalo with a single shot. A .44 Henry rim-fire cartridge never would have been able to do that. That bullet would have sooner bounced off the buffalo than to have killed it. In 1861, several months after Henry was awarded his patent, the American Civil War began. Repeating rifles saw limited use throughout the war, as they represented a new, untested technology that the military just wasn't ready for at that time. It was not until after the war when they became increasingly popular with civilians. With thousands of rifles in the hands of the average pioneer, the Winchester repeating rifles gained a reputation as the gun that won the West. The Henry rifle was manufactured for almost 6 years with a total production of approximately 12,000 rifles, a number which included both iron and brass frame models. These rifles are valued today at anywhere from $20,000 to over $150,000. In 1864, Henry grew angry over what he believed was inadequate compensation and attempted to have the Connecticut legislature award ownership of New Haven Arms to him. Oliver Winchester inhibited this from happening by reorganizing the company once more and renaming it the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. In 1866, employee Nelson King received patents for his new design, which remedied the flaws in the Henry rifle. The result was the Model 1866. It was popularly known as the Yellow Boy because of its bronze alloy receiver, which its predecessor, the Henry rifle, also employed. This design, however, incorporated a loading gate on the right side of the receiver. This replaced the pivoting magazine tube on the Henry rifle, which had to be loaded from the muzzle end through this way and was prone to falling with debris. That was a good idea. The other major flaw of the Henry rifle was the potential of burning your support hand from the heat of the barrel when you fired it. The reason being is you were holding it like this, only back here. The Model 1866 resolved this issue by incorporating a wooden forend. Simple enough, but it worked. This is the first lever-action firearm to bear the name Winchester Repeating Arms. It was produced as a rifle, like this. It was produced as a saddle ring carbine, which had a 20-inch barrel, much easier to wield. It had a saddle ring on this side of the receiver. You could lash it to your saddle when you're galloping through the Wild West. So that was a good idea too. And the other configuration was it came in musket form, which is sort of more military oriented, where the forend was extended all the way out to just before the muzzle. But the 1866, and 65% of these were produced in the saddle ring carbine configuration, I think due to the popularity amongst the pioneers during their westward expansion of the United States. It makes sense, it was easier to wield, tie it to your saddle. The one that I have here was made in 1898. It's in overall good condition, and we value this at $8,000 to $12,000. Now we're real pleased to have this amongst our collection of lever guns, and thank you for letting me share it with you.